of the East Kilbride Area Committee held on the 11th March 2025. The following members are present: Councillors John Anderson, Arch Buchanan, Matthew Buchanan, Jerry Convery. We have apologies from Councillor Margaret Cooper. Councillor Marique Equi is present. Apologies from Councillor Joe Fagan. Councillors Grant Ferguson and Gladys Ferguson Miller are both present. Councillor Elise Frame is not present. Councillor Jerry Gray is not present. Councillors Susan Kerr and Hugh MacDonald are both present. And the following members are all present: Councillors Elaine McDougall, Kirsten Robb, Graham Scott, David Watson and Kirsty Williams. Thank you, and I'll pass you back to the Chair for today's business.
Thanks, Stuart. The item 1, declaration of interests. Do any members have any interest they would like to declare? No. Nobody? No. Okay, thank you. Item 2, minutes of the previous meeting. I'll be looking for a seconder, a proposer and seconder. Right, Jerry. No? Right, okay. Kirsten.
Thank you. Sorry, I can't help you with the proposer and seconder. I couldn't make it, but could I ask a matters arising?
Yes.
Yep. I think it's great we're maintaining the links with Ballarat. I went there 14 years ago as part of the climate conference that was in Copenhagen at the time. And I think they've got so much to learn and share about what we do here as well. To that end, I was wondering if we'll get the programme of activities, and will members have a chance to meet the people from Ballarat so we can keep up the links and exchange the ideas. I think they're coming in May.
Okay. Are you involved in that? Yeah.
Councillor Robb, I can certainly speak to the officers that are dealing with it and ask if a programme can be provided to the members of the area committee.
David Watson.
Chair, just if it's helpful, the programme's still getting worked up for the official delegation and the Twinning Association delegation. There's 2 delegations coming over at the same time. There'll be one civic one and one from the Twinning Association, and both organisations, the Council and the Twinning Association, are still working up a programme of events and activities, and I'm sure that'll be shared once it's been finalised.
Thanks for that, David. Okay. Can I ask if all members agree the minutes? Agreed. Okay. Thanks very much. Right, items for noting: Education Scotland, Curtin Home Primary School and Nursery class. We've got Leanne Kelly and Linda Wright. Over to you.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, councillors. My name is Leanne Kelly and I am the Quality Link Officer for Curtin Home Primary School, and I'm pleased to be here today with the head teacher, Mrs Linda Wright. The purpose of this report is to advise of the outcome of the inspection of Curtin Home Primary School and Early Learning Class by Education Scotland inspectors. Curtin Home Primary School and Early Learning Class is a non-denominational co-educational school, and it teaches pupils from the age of 3 to 12 years. It serves the communities of Westmains and Stewartfield, and at present there are 357 pupils organised into 14 classes and an early learning class which caters for 40 children from ages 3 to 5. In early October 2024, Curtin Home Primary School and Early Years class was the focus of a full model of inspection by His Majesty's inspectors, and included in the committee report is a summary evaluation of their findings in relation to the Scottish Education's National Quality Framework, How Good is Our School 4th edition. Those areas were leadership of change, learning, teaching and assessment, wellbeing and inclusion, raising attainment and achievement. During their 5 days in the school, inspectors observed class lessons, they spoke with groups of pupils and staff, met with parents and members of the local community. The inspection report for Kirkton Home Primary School was published in December 2024. Inspectors evaluated the school's learning, teaching, assessment provision as good and all other aspects and outcomes as very good. These grades were identical to those issued in the early years class. 1 good, 3 very good. As highlighted in the summary report, the key strengths of the school and the early years class are summarised as being the very effective strategic leadership of the head teacher, who empowers children and teachers to lead change across the school, the highly inclusive learning environments that staff create in the school and the nursery, and how this supports children well to be respectful, supportive and motivated learners who are very proud of their school and nursery, the high levels of care, respect and nurture that senior leaders and all staff demonstrate to children and their families, and the sustained high levels of children's attainment and achievement. The report references 2 areas for improvement which have already been included in the school's improvement planning. It's not something new, but endorsement from the inspectors were that the school should continue to raise attainment in literacy and numeracy for all children, and all practitioners should continue to develop consistent approaches to providing children with high quality learning experiences. As outlined in the HMIE report, inspectors are confident that Kirkton Home Primary has capacity to continue to improve and will therefore make no return visits in connection with this report. I'm now going to hand over to Linda, who will share a few of our highlights from the report and the inspection experience.
Okay. Thank you for the invitation to join you here this afternoon and the opportunity to tell you about Kirkton Home's recent Education Scotland inspection. My name is Linda Wright and I'm immensely proud to be the head teacher of Kirkton Home Primary, and I've had this honour for the past 11 years. Kirkton Home is a very special and wonderful place where children love to come and learn and the staff love to come to work most of the time. We think of it as a great privilege to serve our community. We are a very vibrant and busy school with staff who have a deep sense of pride and care for our children and their families. We have an active parent council with both nursery and school members. We have a very clear vision, which is learning is the heart of Kirkton Home, and heart standing for happiness, excellence, achievement, respect and teamwork. We very much live and breathe this vision within our school. So if I just talk you through those values and try and paint a picture of our school with them. Our happiness value is in connection to our attachment-informed practices. One of our key strengths is the strong and lasting relationships we form with our families, and this begins in our nursery class. Our attachment-informed practice was recognised in this report. It is also an area where our school is being asked to share our very good practice at South Lanarkshire events, and we will be a key contributor at a forthcoming event organised by Psychological Services. We place a great emphasis on the well-being of our children, which has resulted in well-regulated and settled learners across our school. Our value of excellence, I believe, relates to our attainment. Another area of strength commented on in this report was our high standards of attainment. We consistently perform above the national and South Lanarkshire average in both literacy and numeracy. Our attendance rates continue to improve. We have been working very closely with some families where attendance has been a concern, and we have seen a positive impact. This piece of work has been recognised and shared at a recent national conference. Our value of achievement relates to the extensive variety of opportunities we provide for our children at Kirkton Home. Our children benefit from a significant number of these opportunities, including the participation in sports, music, drama, school trips, visitors into school, and we're also well known for our sense of fun. We are never short of a dressing up or dressing down day, and we are partial to a visit from a particular hero of mine named Jumpstart Johnny. You can Google him later. Our school shows are legendary, and this year we'll be performing The Beauty and the Beast. All of these result in confident and achieving Kirkton Home pupils. Our value of respect relates to our very inclusive school, where we work hard to understand the needs of our children and then help them overcome any barriers they may have. The Education Scotland report identified the high levels of care, respect and nurture that both our senior leaders and our staff demonstrate to children and their families. We have created highly inclusive learning environments in both school and the nursery. This in turn supports our children to be respectful, supportive and motivated learners who are very proud of their school and nursery class. Our children work with us to make sure our school is inclusive and we respect and celebrate the diversity of children within our setting. Finally, our value of teamwork is what underpins the magic of Kirkton Home. We all share this collective vision. It is in this area of teamwork where I believe Kirkton Home has an extra sparkle. We have a strong and stable management team leading alongside confident staff and pupils who have opportunities to lead themselves. We are also very well supported by our parents, grandparents and friends of Kirkton Home. And sitting within this teamwork is our core strength, our extra sparkle, our magic, if you will, which is the belief we have in our pupils. We actively encourage them to have a voice, we listen to them, and we believe in their ability to lead. They are given opportunities to do so. At Kirkton Home, we have created pupil heart groups. Every child in primary 4 to 7 is a member of a hearts group, and they have the responsibility of leading improvements across our school, whether that be in attachment, reading skills, health and wellbeing, science, or making a difference to others. We also host annual conferences to share our learning in the areas of sustainability and nurture, and it is our children who lead these. These heart groups have resulted in many improvements in our classrooms and our school, including raising over £3,000 for Kilbride Hospice, receiving 2 accreditations for our attachment-informed practice, and we hope to be the first school in South Lanarkshire who achieves a STEM Nation award. So where do we go now? We've already started working on ways to improve our learning and teaching to move from good to very good. This has included further training and professional learning and will be a focus on our school improvement plan for next session and beyond. So whilst we have been evaluated as very good for many of the quality indicators, we are not resting on our laurels. As I said at the beginning, I'm extremely proud to be the head teacher of Kirkton Home. We will continue to live and work by our values to provide our children and families with the very best experiences and the skills they need to become active and responsible citizens of the future.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Any questions or comments from members? David.
Thanks, Chair. Just a comment, and we never mentioned it, I don't think there, and I picked up on it, but I don't cover the area that comes under Kirkton Home, but I cover the area that covers St Kenneth, and I'm aware of collaboration work between St Kenneth and Kirkton Home, which has gone down very well, and I just like to congratulate you on that, and hopefully that can continue, because I know certainly valued by people I'm in contact with at St Kenneth. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, David. Susan Kerr.
Hi there, can you hear me okay? Yeah?
Yep.
Yes, you can. I can see myself. Okay, so I'd like to extend my congratulations to the head teacher and all the staff and pupils for all your very hard work and for your excellent report that you all very well deserve. I'd also like to point to the very effective strategic leadership of the head teacher that was mentioned in the report and all the team who are empowered to effectively lead on change and improvement. Very well done. Thank you. That's all I wish to say.
Thanks. So come off. Yep. Okay, anybody else?
Councillor Mills.
Oh, right. Kirsty.
Hi, Linda. Thank you so much for that report. And again, congratulations, just to echo what Susan just said there, and to commend yourselves and I'm sure the wider leadership team as well about the comments about that in the report, the positive comments. And as a member of the Social Work Committee as well, it's just really good to hear you talk about the nurturing and the attachment-informed education practice that you deliver in your school to obviously see the child in the round. It's essential for learning. Thank you.
Thanks for that. Nobody else? Nobody else. Okay. I'll move the report and ask for a seconder. Jerry. Okay. Can I ask if members are agreed in that? Yep. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your report. Item 4 on the agenda is Employment, Land and Property Market Analysis Report. That's a big mouthful, that. John Archibald is the Project Development Officer. Will speak to this report. John.
Afternoon, Chair and Committee. Name is John Archibald and I'm here to present the Employment, Land and Property Market Analysis Report. In one, we outline the purpose of the report, and that is to advise of the conclusions of the recently completed Employment, Land and Property Market Analysis and advise that the outcomes of these reports will inform the future economic development policy and any future investment by the Council. Moving on to 3, we give some background around the Scottish Government and its national strategy for economic transformation. One aspect of the strategy's vision is for Scotland to be the best place to start and grow a business. Having an adequate supply of employment, land and property in the correct locations is a factor in this aim. And to understand the South Lanarkshire employment, land and property supply, Rydens LLP were appointed to provide employment, land and property market analysis for South Lanarkshire area. This was implemented in 4 parts to inform a suite of reports. Relevant to this committee is obviously the East Kilbride report, but there was also a report in relation to Cambuslang, Rutherglen, Hamilton, Blantyre, Larkhall and Clydesdale. Information used to formulate the reports has come from sources including electronic data sources, site visits and views of occupiers. In section 4.2, we provide detail specifically to East Kilbride area. Planning policy assesses the adequate supply of sites. However, the market supply in East Kilbride is very low and only 4 available plots, and this is inadequate to provide a choice for potential developers and occupiers. Sites at Langlands West is the only remaining strategic site in the town, one of few across the city region. Potential developer interest has been expressed in the site, so it is the intention to bring the site to the market in the near future. This will be promoted on the Council's new Invest South Lanarkshire website. Industrial property. Industrial properties in East Kilbride are generally constructed in the same area of the 1970s, and this has resulted in premises becoming obsolete and requiring refurbishment in a similar timescale. Ideally, Rydens recommends that the existing employment property stock should be replaced or upgraded at a rate of 215,000 square feet per annum. In 4.4, we'll highlight some key points from the Rydens study. East Kilbride has a current industrial property stock of 7.76 million square feet, equivalent to 54% of the overall South Lanarkshire industrial floor space. The town's vacancy rate has fallen to a low of 3.1%, and the take-up for 2023 was 44 units in the year. There is a case for a new development, however, the economics of this has faltered. Quoted rental rates between £4 and £9.50 per square foot are quoted. We outline the geographical split. In 4.6 we outline the geographical split of industrial take-up in terms of floor place across South Lanarkshire. East Kilbride having 56%, Hamilton having 22%, 16% for Cambuslang, Rutherglen and Clydesdale 6%. Onto the office market. It's important to note that in the office market, moves to smaller, better quality offices. East Kilbride has a significant stock of older and modern offices with a marketed vacancy rate of 4.8% in 32 suites and 11 buildings. Unlike industrial property, with asking rents for office space in East Kilbride between £8.60 and £16 a square foot, the rents are not at a level which could support new development. Formal take-up of offices averages 20 units per annum. Current supply of subdivisible offices is capable of responding to a wide range of requirements, indicating flexibility and ability to respond to demand. In 4.9, we give the South Lanarkshire wide context. Industrial property market in South Lanarkshire is extensive. Industrial property is estimated at 15.9 million square feet. In 4.12, we explain that South Lanarkshire's principal industrial development era was between the 1970s and the 1990s. This means that more than half of the local authority area's industrial stock is at least 44 years old. With older stock, energy performance is an increasing concern, both in terms of carbon emissions and energy costs. In 4.13, we advise that South Lanarkshire has a low industrial property availability, currently sitting at 3.8%. It is likely that occupiers will experience restricted choice of premises in terms of location, size, specification, quality and modernity. In 4.14, South Lanarkshire has an office availability rate of 12%. This is marginally above the 11% office availability rate for the Glasgow City region as a whole. And then moving on to 4.16, in the conclusion section, the summary riding report identifies a number of actions. These include measures and recommendations on a South Lanarkshire-wide basis, as well as localised East Kilbride area initiatives to stimulate refurbishment of existing industrial stock and actively encourage the creation of development-ready plots. In section 5, funding, we note that European Union structural funds are now not available. However, to replace the lost European funding at a UK level, funds relating to levelling up agenda, investment zones and place and community wealth building, as well as City Deal, are available. The Council will continue to pursue identified opportunities, but going forward, the private sector will be key to investment and supply. In section 6, we outline the next steps and timescales. These South Lanarkshire-wide priority areas and potential interventions where funding will require to be identified include targeting existing industrial stock, provision of service plots, monitoring industrial development, monitoring the office market. It should be noted that the Council will have a role to play in the delivery of many of these actions identified in the reports, although in many cases the role will be that of a regulatory body with a limited direct involvement in delivery. And in section 6.4, we give some detail about the 21-hectare site at Langlands West and a review of the master plan to identify the opportunities. Recent development interest in the site has been expressed and these inquiries are being actively considered. In 6.5, we explain that we are looking at further opportunities at key sites, including Langlands, Clyde Gateway owned sites at Shawfield Innovation Campus and the Clyde Bridge Steelworks at Campus Lang. These sites form part of the Council's bid to the Glasgow City region enabling and delivering commercial space project. And finally, in 6.6, we draw your attention to the Council's Invest South Lanarkshire website, which is now built, and this will serve as an important platform for the marketing of key sites and property and serve as a gateway for private sector investors, developers to contact the Council. Chair, I refer back to section 2, where the committee is asked to note the contents of this report. Thank you.
Thanks for that, John. I'll open up for questions or whatever. John, bring you in first.
Thanks, Chair. I'm just interested in the Langland West site. This has been marketed on many occasions since it was made available, and it's never been successful in actually getting anyone to purchase it. And I know they were one time talking about putting it maybe out marketing in smaller packages rather than one big site because nobody really wanted it. So I'd like to know, we're going to promote this on the South Lanarkshire website, or the Invest in South Lanarkshire website. Are we going to promote it elsewhere to get to a bigger audience rather than just one website to see if we can get something? And on that, 6.4, we're saying there's interest in the site has been expressed and these inquiries are being actively considered. Is this for the whole site, or is this companies saying they would like to have a factory or units on it? And would we need to sell the site before that they could actually build on it. I'm just thinking of the urgency now, because the report also highlights the industrial properties in East Kilbride, which are mainly all private, are in very, very poor condition. And I don't know how they will go when it comes to the net zero, having to comply with that. So I'm just wondering how we're going to get through that, because it is urgent. I mean, we have lost a lot of jobs in East Kilbride. Big factories have all moved, Motorola, Rolls-Royce, just to name a few. But I think it is urgent. So I just wonder how we're going to get more businesses onto this site. Thanks.
Roger.
Thanks, Councillor. There was quite a lot of questions there, but so we see the Langlands site as a strategic site. So that means we see that it's a good location, it's a good size, it's got things about it that make it very attractive. So it's very important that we don't rush in and take the first bid that's on the table, and then maybe regret it in times to come. We have got it marketed currently on the Invest in South Lanarkshire website, and that has proved really, really valuable, because it has determined that, as we feel, it is a site that is of interest to the market. We are in discussions with an appropriate company about marketing it wider, because, as you say, it's very important to make sure everyone is aware that the site is available, and we won't just rely on that website alone. That would not be appropriate. In terms of smaller site, larger site, develop it all as one type questions, we'll be interested to see what the market brings to us. We have had various proposals, people wanting part of the site, people wanting all of the site, but there are obviously various economic factors to consider. How much we're getting for the site is at one end, but also how many jobs there could potentially be created at the other. Some developers just want to buy the site and don't actually have an end use. Other people, it's more of a want to build a factory for their own specific purposes. So we need to take all these things into account. But what I think you should be assured that it will be properly marketed, and we will take all the economic factors into consideration before anything is concluded. In terms of the wider stock in East Kilbride, I'd alluded that a lot of it's of a certain age, and a lot of it's maybe quite tired now. We all know that. You just need to drive round about. So we are considering as a team how we tackle that. For absolutely not suggesting that we're going to go out and spend a lot of money and fix all the problems of all the private estates, but is there a possibility of some sample projects, exemplar projects that we could perhaps implement that would encourage the wider market to then do something similar or even better? We are not going to fix every problem, but we can lead by example, and that's where we see ourselves going in the future.
Okay, John. Yeah. Yep. Okay, Kirsten Robb.
Thank you, and thanks, John, for the report. Nice to see you again. Been a few years. Really interesting with this approach, looking at maybe exemplar projects and so on. Maybe you're already connected to something we're really lucky to have on our doorstep, which is the National Retrofit Centre in Hamilton. They're actually retrofitting an industrial unit just now, and they're doing a tour tomorrow that I'm going on, actually. I think that would be quite good to engage with them if you're not already. Lots of opportunities. So the question is, are you engaging with the National Retrofit Centre? And the second question is, looking at the council ownership of land or buildings, are we looking at income generating opportunities like using the rooftops or the land to generate renewable energy and more income for public services in line with our community wealth building processes? Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. In terms of the retrofit centre, I've actually got a design team looking at designing some industrial property for the Rutherford and Cambuslang area at the moment, and it's very much an exemplar project where we're going to have renewable interventions, green type technologies involved, and they're going along, I believe, to tomorrow to see if there's anything they can learn that they don't know already. I'm not going myself, but the minute you mentioned it did ring a bell, and that's the reason why. In terms of the income generation from rooftops, it's not something that I can answer fully myself. Perhaps Ian may add something, but I am aware from historically working with community groups and things, there is a lot of interest in either if we're not doing it, other groups taking forward projects using our roof space and land, but perhaps Ian can add to that.
Yeah, thanks. I can't remember if it was the Community and Enterprise or Executive Committee, but in the autumn cycle, Alison Brown, our Head of Service, brought a paper around commercialisation opportunities, and it's broader than that, but that is one of the areas around opportunities for other renewable sources is something that is part of that thinking and how it can come about. Obviously, I mean, I'm stating the obvious, but clearly not all roofs are suitable, although there are acres and acres of roofs. A lot of these tend to be very lightweight structures and are not always suitable. But yes, it's something that certainly we're alive to, but I suppose going back to the part of Councillor Anderson's query, a lot of this is in private ownership, and therefore the opportunities are not always deliverable. But yes, it's very much at the forefront of the wider strategy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Jerry.
It's just an observation, but thanks for the report, John, because it actually opens the mind up to start talking about a thing, because I've said it for a long time. East Kilbride is not a new town any longer. It's an old town, and the infrastructure's collapsing all round about, and you allude to the fact, even the private sector, it's a good discussion document. It should start taking this forward, because at the end of the day, yeah, what happened 30 and 40 years ago in East Kilbride, it's not happening anywhere now. It's a different world we live in, different world. So it's a good report, but it focuses the mind. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Jerry. Anybody else? Yep. Okay. Can I move the report for noting and ask for a seconder? Right. We've got a seconder, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Ask if members are agreed on the report. Yep. Okay, thank you very much for that. So thanks very much, John, for that. Right, okay. Housing and technical resources. See if I can get this right the first time. Preparatory. Got it. Budget, budgeting update, and that will be carried out by Carol Graham, who's the area housing manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, everyone. I've been asked to come along today to present information around participatory budgeting. It is a mouthful in the East Kilbride area. So I'll start with the estate improvement budget. This budget consists of £40,000 and is split equally across the 4 divisions of South Lanarkshire. It gives the local housing team the opportunity to direct some funding towards projects highlighted as a priority by customers. Although limited in value, the budget is suited to the participatory budgeting approach, as it often funds a number of smaller projects that have been highlighted as a priority, as I said, by our customers. So in East Kilbride in 24-25, we've completed a number of projects, the first of which is Catacall Grove. Catacall Grove consists of 6 blocks of flats, 60% of which are in council ownership and 40% belong to Clyde Valley Housing Association. We've been meeting, the local housing team have been meeting with tenants, Clyde Valley Housing Association and other partners at Catacall Grove for a number of months to address various issues within the Catacall Grove estate. One of these issues was around waste disposal and fly tipping, and in response it was agreed that we would replace the existing communal bins which were prone to being overfilled to new style communal bins that have been have an improved closing mechanism and also clear panels at the side, allowing people to see what they're putting in and what should go into the bins. So we have spent £5,780.24 providing the new equipment, and the cost was split between ourselves and Clyde Valley Housing Association, made up the rest of the money. And the local housing officer reports an improvement in terms of waste disposal in the area, and ground services are also keeping monitoring that. The next project was in Calderwood Square. Tenants had highlighted the lack of a proper storage area for the bins on one side of Calderwood Square. And to improve the situation, we've had some of the red chips moved in the back court area and replaced that with slabs on which the bins will be able to sit. We also had to order some new bins, as some had been stolen from the street. This amounted to £1,456.53. Now that the new arrangements are in place, we'll be visiting the block along with our colleagues in ground services. We'll be chapping doors and carrying out a common sense event. So that's the officers going jointly, ground services and the local housing officer, to give advice around the correct and considerate disposal of waste. In Westwood Square, a small job, new tenant had highlighted the condition of the railings outside the properties in Westwood Square. They commented that they would benefit from a lick of paint, and we had to agree. So we worked with Community Payback, who agreed to do the work for us if we purchased the paint. So the paint cost us £180.08, and Community Payback will complete the work when the weather improves. The remainder of the money has been used to improve some open areas highlighted by our colleagues in ground services and known to the local housing officer. These are typically areas where the shrubs have seen better days and really are just no foliage on them and are just getting litter caught up in them. We made the decision to return the areas to grass to improve the appearance of the area. So those streets include 55 to 95 Chalmers Crescent, 132 to 146 Somerville Drive, 14 to 24 Quebec Drive and 3 Rivers Walk. The local team will be starting to think about small projects for 25-26 and would welcome councillors to pass on any ideas from their constituents that they think the money could be spent on. In terms of the housing investment programme, engagement with tenants in the overall housing revenue account budget for 23-24 took place as part of the annual budgetary consultation process. The environmental aspect of the housing investment programme covers a wide range of projects that seek to improve the quality and energy efficiency of the council's housing stock. Examples of the projects within the budget can include replacement of doors, windows and redevelopment of communal areas and multi-stories and sheltered housing facilities. Not all projects, as you would imagine, included in this budget are suitable for participatory budgeting. However, for those that are, officers will ensure that the required element of choice and voting opportunities are offered to customers and appropriately recorded. So both Welbeck and Canberra sheltered housing complexes have undergone refurbishment, and tenants were consulted on both sites, including new communal kitchen facilities, accessible communal toilets, ceilings, lighting, flooring, soft furnishings. Through a series of residents' meetings and individual discussions, tenants were provided with mood boards and were invited to vote on their preferred options. The overall cost at Welbeck was £514,795 and at Canberra, £359,205. That concludes my update.
Thanks for that, Carol. Questions or comments?
Just a comment, Chair.
Okay, Jerry?
Yeah, the areas that Carol's just alluded to, I've been arguing about these areas for years. Now it's getting sorted. Good.
Okay, thanks for that. Anybody else? No. Okay. I'll move for noting and ask for a seconder. Jerry. And if members agree with the report. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for that, Carol. Right, we'll move on to item 6, updating town centres. Vicky Nelson, Project Manager, will speak to this report.
Thank you, Chair. Afternoon, councillors. My name is Vicky Nelson. I'm a project manager within Enterprise and Sustainable Development Services. Today I'm here to give an update on the East Kilbride Master Plan and just provide information where we are at the moment. Section 3 of the report just gives a bit of background about town centres in general. There's a huge shift in the traditional function of town centres across the country, and the traditional function needs to change in order to support modern communities. As council officers, we're looking at how to support town centres going forward and transition them into their new role and function. And by doing this, we're closely aligning with the newest Future for Scotland's Town Centres report and action plan alongside National Planning Framework 4. Section 4, as we have previously reported, East Kilbride has faced a number of challenges over recent years, and these challenges have resulted in the shopping centre going into administration. It should note here that the shopping centre as a whole is going into administration, but it's held in two parts. Sapphire 15, which is the Centre West site, and Sapphire 16, which is the remainder of the shopping centre. So the entire shopping centre is in administration, but Sapphire 15, which is Centre West, is held under a ground lease from the council. The administration shopping centre led to the development of the East Kilbride Master Plan. Administrators working alongside South Lanarkshire Council worked with a number of specialists, including 360 Architecture and Savills, to undertake the master planning exercise to look at the kind of commercial realities and potential of the centre as a whole. So the resulting East Kilbride Master Plan was approved by Executive Committee on the 13th of September 2023. A key element of the Master Plan is that the control of Centre West reverts back to the Council because of the ground lease. This is not the preferred route to redevelopment, however, discussions have exhausted any other options, and therefore a negotiated and managed transition mitigates risk to the Council, and that has been the key priority. We have been given committee approval to enter into heads of terms for the transfer of Centre West back to the Council, and we've been working on this over the last year or so. We've also been given committee approval to appoint a professional team to help with this transition. So we have Turner and Townsend in as project managers, we have Burness Paul in for legal advice, and we also have Knight Frank in place for estate advice and asset management. In addition to this work, we've also been looking at funding, and we have been given approval from the Community and Enterprise Resource Committee in April 24 to amend City Deal funding to realign £32.2 million of City Deal funding to the Town Centre Master Plan project. This brings the total budget for the Master Plan to £50.3 million. The realigned funding allows for the demolition work and progresses with the Civic Hub element of the East Kilbride Master Plan. Under Section 5, we look at the transfer of Centre West. So heads of terms negotiations have concluded, and they were endorsed by Executive Committee on the 13th of November 24. It's considered that these are the best terms which can be achieved to secure the managed transition of the centre back to the Council. And the construction agreement of the heads of terms means that this transition is done in a managed way and gives us an ability to plan ahead. Legal advisors at Burness Paul are now working on concluding a contract based on these heads of terms. The rest of the shopping centre, which is the Sapphire 16 element, was placed in the market in September, and a new potential owner has been identified. It should be noted that there's quite a lot of interest in the shopping centre, and the master plan proposals formed a large part of that and were used in the marketing material for the shopping centre. So it's likely the council will work closely with any new owner, and indeed there'll be a need for a positive relationship with the new owner to look at aspects such as the practicality of the physical separation of the centre, the separation between Centre West and kind of Plaza area onwards, and the subsequent demolition. Centre West will come back into council hands on the 30th of December this year, and work is well underway with our project management team, Turner Townsend, looking at things like the demolition strategies, the decommissioning of the centre, and we're also working very closely with managing agents to make sure that's a very smooth transition. Section 6, we're talking about the Civic Hub, and as we noted, committee approval was granted to revise the City Deal outline business case to realign £32.2 million funding to Town Centre, which will cover the demolition of Centre West and the creation of the Civic Hub. It's important that we create the Civic Hub in the Town Centre, as we've noted, towns have a new role now, and there's a need for more services, leisure activities, things to do, and the Civic Hub will provide a real focal point for the Town Centre going forward. It's also important to kind of establish that East Kilbride is quite different in that the shopping centre is the town centre, so it's important to put back a kind of heart into that. 360 Architecture have been appointed to further develop these proposals. And as part of the development, they've considered a variety of functions here. So the East Kilbride Master Plan currently shows the hub. The East Kilbride Master Plan in its original form shows the hub at the bingo site in the shopping centre. We have had to look at other sites just due to funding and constraints, and currently we're looking at putting the Civic Hub on the Centre West site because it's in council ownership and it's a less constrained site. However, this has not been fully developed yet or decided, and then we'll come back to committee to make a final decision on the location of the Civic Hub. Design work is ongoing, and as I said, consultation will continue as the designs progress. Moving on, at section 7, we will talk about the East Kilbride Civic Centre. Although this is not within the master plan boundary, it's a prominent building right on the edge of the master plan area, and it'd be remiss not to consider it. We've undergone a marketing exercise on the Civic Centre. It was placed in the market in November last year with a closing date of the 30th of January, just to assess market interest. We're just currently giving consideration to the next steps here, and it will come back to committee on that as well. Section H talks about next steps and timescales. We're going through a period at the moment of getting our ducks in a row, basically, to take back ownership of the centre on the 30th of December, which include things like vacant possession, legals, demolition strategies, site investigation works, and that kind of thing. We're working with our project management team on this, and we'll continue to work up the Civic Hub proposals at the same time and seek opportunities for the town centre. As far as employee implications go, there are no direct implications. Any staff working currently in Centre West are not council employees, they're employees of the managing agent, Reece Lambert, and they'll continue to be so. And as far as the Civic Centre is concerned, all staff have been noted of the marketing exercise, and as I say, there's no decision being taken on that to do anything in the near future. Financial implications, by entering into heads of terms, we've now entered into a managed rundown of the centre, and there'll be no increase in the council's liabilities between now and when we get centre back effectively on the 30th of December. By agreeing the heads of terms, we are working towards vacant possession and we won't be liable for the running costs until December 2025. By this point, as I say, we're working in tandem with the demolition strategy, and it is the aim to take the centre back and begin that process as quickly as we possibly can. This will alleviate any kind of empty property rates liability that we may have going forward. It will reduce that. And as noted, the City Deal outline business case was approved by Executive Committee on the 11th of December, and it says here will be considered, this was written the day before it was approved by the City Deal Cabinet on the 25th of February. So we have the funding in place for the demolition of Centre West and the Civic Hub. Section 11 deals with climate change and sustainability, closely aligned with MPF 4, and all works to take forward the vision of the East Kilbride and Town Centre Master Plan has sustainability at the forefront of projects. We're looking at recycling assets, developments, reducing emissions, local living, district heating, that kind of thing is all being considered as part of the master plan development. Section 12 deals with other implications and just notes the risk that if we do not support the master plan, that the town centre may further decline, and rather than be a place for investment and growth. We also talk about the Civic Hub and the Centre West site, and as I say, we will come back to committee with that. Section 13, we talk about consultation. We undertook quite a significant consultation exercise for 3 weeks in 2023, and we will continue to consult on the individual aspects of the master plan as they move forward. So I can just take councillors back to section 2. We were just asked to note the report and take any questions. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Vicky. John.
Thanks, Chair. There's also misses out with the council's jurisdiction in a way. If there's a delay in the town centre being taken over by any other investor, will that delay the Centre West, given the fact that you need to decide where the where the split is, but how it's actually split? Would they have any sort of way of objecting to that, or blocking it in any way, or is it a done deal that we can take that down with or without their assistance? On the Civic Centre, it's not just the building that's getting sold, it's a car park as well. How far down the line are we? I know there's a closing date of 30th of January, and you said they're looking at it. Has there been an interest in it? And I keep hearing that in the new town centre there's going to be a supermarket, and there's discussions been ongoing for, well, forever and a day. I'm curious about that one, because if the new owners decide they don't want a supermarket, what happens there? I don't know who's doing the talking, because I thought it would have been the owners of the new town centre that would be deciding what goes in it. I'm just wondering if there's any discussions on that. Thanks.
Thanks. As far as the kind of sale goes, our part is not conditional on the sale of the kind of 16, Sapphire 16. We've kind of entered heads of terms and agreed a date of transfer, so we're still kind of going forward on that basis. We'll need to agree on how we develop the new kind of front in between the two centres, or the centre and the kind of development site, but it should still go ahead regardless of a sale. As far as the civic centre and car park, parking arrangements, I say we've just kind of done marketing exercise at the moment. There's no actual decisions being taken on that. Going forward, I forgot another half of your question there, sorry. Supermarket as well, yeah. Supermarket has been through a kind of PAN exercise, and I think it's the Interpath who are pushing that forward, but I think that's probably been a key part of making it attractive to a potential seller. Going forward, and there is interest there. I think actually you've done that forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can give you. We've had an initial meeting with the prospective purchaser, and there's no question that the supermarket is front and centre of their ambitions moving forward. So I don't think that change of ownership changes the likelihood of a supermarket being part of those proposals. And as Vicky touched on, the car parking strategy across the town centre, I know it was an area that you'd asked at Community Enterprise and Executive Committee. That it's clearly it's a fundamental part of how the town centre is taken forward, and all those different aspects will be brought together, and obviously colleagues in the roads team are very keen to know and understand that as well. But there's a series of activities that need to feed into that process, so that we know what the development is, we know the phasing of the development, and we can then inform how that all comes forward.
Okay, John? Yep. David?
Thanks, Chair. Thanks for the report. I'm still not quite clear on some of the things that's happening here. We've had a consultation, and an extensive consultation, and I'm not sure how that reflects to where we're going. And probably the question is in that if and when we get some sort of conclusion to what direction we're going in, and more firmer ideas with the new owners, will there be a further consultation with the public? So a couple other points. We mentioned a civic hub. Now, it's nice, really, words, a civic hub, but in my head, I'm not quite sure what a civic hub is. At one point, I thought, right, aye, civic hub, we could have the ice rink, the library, maybe some community facilities, a drop-in Q&A place for the council in the centre of the town centre. But we seem to be moving away from that. So what is a civic hub? And we talk about the Ballarat Hall, and I keep mentioning this, and I just keep getting told it'll be provided for in a new civic hub. But what does that mean? Is it a like for like? Is it an entertainment venue? Again, I've got a vision in my head of a civic hub. I've been a arts and a civic and leisure area, but some of that will cross over between council provision and the owners of the town centre provision, and probably a commercial situation. So again, go back to what does the civic hub mean? And finally, under, and I get probably not relevant to your remit here, but the report goes on about employment implications, and it states at 9.3, staff currently working in the East Kilbride Civic Centre are aware of the market of the building and staff will be relocated in due course. Now, what does that mean? Are we going to make provision for staff in due course that are working East Kilbride Civic Centre in the new East Kilbride Town Centre, or are they going to get scattered to the wind throughout South Lanarkshire, and further diminishing the number of employees that we have in East Kilbride, which would also be of benefit to the town centre? Sorry for a bit much there, but anyway, that's it.
Thank you. Just with regards to the consultation, so the consultation that we did was on the master plan as a whole, and it was really checking that the vision of the master plan aligned with what the people of East Kilbride want, and we had quite an overwhelming response that yes, although obviously everybody would like to see Marks and Spencer's and all the different shops come back, people appreciated that the town centres are changing and we needed to be able to support that change. So going forward, it'll be individual consultations on separate parts of the master plan, if you like. So the new owner or the current owner, any kind of developments there, they'll be looking to do any kind of planning, consultations and that kind of thing. And likewise, we'd be doing it on the centre west part, so that would be for housing development, civic hub, etc. there. The actual civic hub itself, currently we're kind of looking at what it could be at the moment, and it could involve things like the libraries, theatre space, office space, you know, a central point for people to come in and kind of meet and use the services that you would expect to have in a town centre. So it would amalgamate kind of all of these things with as the office space. I don't know if you want to speak about the civic centre employees, Ian.
Yeah, sorry, Chair, thank you. And again, I think, Councillor, that you'd asked a similar question of Alison at one of the previous committees. And again, it ties in both with the work that we're involved in, but also colleagues in property services around the asset review and the amount of space the council needs for its own staff and where that should be appropriately located. I think at that committee you were assured that that didn't mean a scattering to the corners of South Lanarkshire, and nothing in terms of the work we're doing changes that. There is an acknowledgement there is a requirement for office accommodation within the new facility, and marrying it with that asset review is how that will come together. But as I say, I don't think the creation of a civic hub in and of itself changes the approach to the location of staff within East Kilbride.
Yeah, thanks. I've never had that, an assurance that jobs would be retained in the town, I can assure you of that. But I think the sort of wording always seems to be there'll be like a Q&A place, but just now there's different resources for service South Lanarkshire based in the Civic Centre, and it's whether they'll be then scattered or there'll be facilities for jobs to be maintained for local people in East Kilbride. I meant to say something in the Civic Hub as well, and it's maybe something worth looking at, that recently with all East Kilbride councillors and probably others have been contacted by East Kilbride Table Tennis Club, and I spoke to Alison about this as well, and they at the moment have a facility that's very well used in Centre West, and they'll be getting displaced and looking for somewhere else to go. And I know that there's active support being given to them on that. But it's maybe a concept that we could take a bit further and as part of the Civic Hub, that groups like that can go in and provide a facility in the town centre without the astronomical rates or rents that they're being asked to pay, and it's providing a service to draw people into the town centre and also keep them fit. But it's maybe something, just flinging that in there because it's current, and there may be other conceptual things like that maybe be able to use in this Civic Hub.
I think Ian's on it.
Sorry, one bit I was conscious I hadn't answered, and it probably supplemented to what your example about the table tennis. In terms of what goes into the Civic Hub and what the future of Ballarat Hall is, I'm not going to give you a direct answer, because what the challenge we've put, I know and I appreciate that, but at least I'm being upfront about that. But the challenge we've put to the team is that we need, you know, the reality of owning space, and you touched on it there, rent rates, heating, lighting, everything that goes into that. We need to make these spaces as efficient as possible. So what we're saying to them is that we need all these uses to be captured in that building, but it might not necessarily be a space here, a space here, a space here, a space here. How do all those uses, or how can all those uses be accommodated in this new building? So that's why when you ask those questions, it's difficult for us to articulate what the space will ultimately look like. It's easier for us to say all these uses are, the intention is to accommodate them within that new space, and we'll come back to you in the appropriate committee forum to let you know what that looks like. Sorry if that sounds a bit vague, apologies.
Okay, thanks for that. Jerry?
Yeah, see, it's no vague. It's work in progress.
Sorry, Councillor Convery, can you press your button again, please?
I'll come back to the council. We'll decide what's going in there. So it's no vague. It's perfectly clear. It's work in progress. It's an update. I mean, if I go back to the 70s, East Kilbride Town Centre was basically Olympia and the wee square where Safeway was. Then you jump to the 90s and it was a catchment area for Carlisle right up to East Kilbride. That was the catchment area for East Kilbride shopping. I was in it on Saturday morning for about 2.5 hours. The place is falling to bits. It's not the town centre that we used to have, and it gets back to John's contribution in the report number 4. That's just part and parcel of what's happening with the whole of the so-called new town. It's not a new town, it's an old town. Folk have changed their living standards, the way they shop, the way they do this, the way they do that. So, to me, it's an exciting time, but it's just an update. I mean, I think we're trying to dot every I and cross every T. We can't do that at this stage. That's the facts of life. And we have consulted, and I've been there when the folk have been coming in and asking all the relevant questions, and that'll all be endorsed and taken forward with their views in mind. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're here to do, is to serve the people of East Kilbride. So I think it's a good update, and there'll be more to come. Thanks. So I'm not asking you a question, Victoria.
Thanks for that, Jerry. Kirsten Robb.
Thank you. Just to pick up on a point that Davy's good questions were, just making the most of partnership working. Yes, the council can decide, but I think there's so many opportunities for partnership working. There's a lot of voluntary sector organisations that working together, we can actually achieve more and bring in more external funding. So we don't work in isolation. We've got a new partnership developing with the voluntary sector. And I think there's a lot to be done by working together, including in our town centre. So just to pick up on that and emphasise it.
Thank you for that. Right, I'll move the report and ask for a seconder. Okay, thanks. You agreed? Agreed, members? Yep. Okay, we'll need to have an eye break for the BSL users, etc. for 5 minutes. Okay, if you just don't run away. Okay, folks, we'll get started so we can get finished. Right, item 7 is you'll all have read the report. This was an idea that I think Stuart and we've already did it here because we put in extra things on the agenda. But I think this is enrolled it across South Lanarkshire to give us some suggestions of a forward programme for future meetings. Now there is a list there, if I can find it. There is a list there of different organisations, etc., from the usual police to fire service, care and repair, play schemes, etc., etc. So, what we're basically looking for you is to have a look through that. You don't have to do it today, and come up. If there's anything on there that you can see, or anything else you think is applicable to this committee, is to speak to Stuart or myself, and we'll get a few other things on the list, make it a bit more interesting. Okay. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
As usual, just move the report.
So can you move the report? Is it under seconder? Thank you very much, Jerry. Oh, Monique.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thanks, Chair. It was just to say that to say thank you to you for opening this up to us to allow other people to put ideas forward. And it was just to say that I think it's a really good idea because it means that there's like a club in Blantyre that is it's populated by a lot of youngsters from East Kilbride. And it's youngsters with quite severe additional support needs. And it's just a new club that's relatively started up. And I know that they've been given funding from like local people. And when the mothers and fathers go with the children, they obviously like pay a fee as well. But it's for like a whole sensory environment. And I just think that it would probably be good to have like clubs like that for people to come and speak about the clubs that they run and why they're needed and what they need and who it's applicable to. And I think that would that would be a real benefit to the community, and I think it would be a benefit as well to keep everybody engaged with their community and what's actually going on in it, because as councillors, we've all got different wards and we've got different situations in the different wards. I know there'll be some things that are the same, but there's like different pockets of deprivation and there's different pockets of things which are relevant to one and not always relevant to another. So I think that this would be a good idea to have groups like that come along. So it's just to say thank you.
Okay. Well, in the first instance, if you speak to Stuart, tell him the organisation, etc., 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 just to make sure it meets certain criteria. Okay.
Okay, that's smashing. Thank you very much.
Kirsten.
Thank you. There's been good engagement on the with members on the community about the town centre master plan, but there's another master plan that's going on in East Kilbride as well. That's the Calder Glen Country Park master plan, and it was to ask if that could be brought forward to the next meeting as well, please. We haven't had an update on that since a briefing last June, and I'm quite keen that members, all members, get to have a say, including and the community, about the future of this park.
You see to that? Yeah. Okay. Stuart will look into that.
Thank you.
Right. Okay. Move on then. Item 8, community grants. This is twofold. It's the grants in front of you and an agreement for the committee for, and after the next meeting, for us to deal with any other grants that come in. Okay, just like we do every year. It was 3 or 4 last year. So, there's several grants there. Have you all, do you look at them? Anybody opposed to any of them, or we'll just take them in all in one? Are you quite happy with that? Yep. Yep. Okay. Right, can I move it again? Seconder there. Right, Jerry. Okay. Right, sorry. So I'll move it for noting and ask for a second to go it. Ask if members are agreed Right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That's all. No urgent business, so nothing else today. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, folks. That's a good one, actually, what I call it, Glenn. Get floating up my ear and emails.
I'll just need to check what stage it's at in case it's maybe going to another committee or whatever.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
can you just tell you what?
Sorry. What you maybe do is...
Other one?